What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 12 of Week in Review, or the 13th total video I've uploaded on this channel, so it's going to be the spookiest episode yet. Ooh, spooky. We have 5 items on the show this week, 2 games and 2 movies, 1 limited edition item, and we'll look forward to what's new. Ooh. It's for Friday the 13th in April, which is like the least spooky month you could have a Friday the 13th. Maybe something whimsical like January. It's too cold to be scared. You're just looking out for the ice going, oh god. I mean, maybe the ice is scary. Maybe January's not a good one. What is the least scary month to... Not October. That's a scary month, I guess. We will start this week with A Quiet Place, which is actually a spooky movie, so... spooky month, spooky movie, all that good stuff. It all ties in together very accidentally. Anyway, this movie is absolutely fantastic. I loved it from start to finish. I'm not even a horror guy, and I really, really liked it. I would absolutely recommend seeing this movie as blind as possible. I'm actually going to stay away from major spoilers. When it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm going to redo it, and we'll go more in depth with how this movie works and what I like so much about it. I think it does a tremendous job of setting everything up and paying it off, both the rules of the world and the interactions between all of the characters. I genuinely cared about all of them, and there are a lot of movies where I look at it and I'm just like, man, I don't care about any of you people, so I don't really care if you make it through or die during this movie. But because I care, everything else is ratcheted up. The intensity is ratcheted up. The emotional punches are ratcheted up. Like, this movie is absolutely fantastic. The opening sequence of this movie is absolutely terrific and does a fantastic job of setting up the rest of the movie. Like, it propels the rest of the movie through to the end. I saw this movie at the AMC Dolby Cinema, which is the big fancy theater. It's theater number 17, and it has like really incredible speakers, and the seats vibrate when like big loud noises go off. So when there's like a jump scare, the seats vibrate and like you get extra spooked. And then yeah, at first I thought like maybe that would be like too much, because I'm not a big horror guy, but I think it actually worked terrifically well because this movie is designed around sound. And I think this could be like, maybe not like Best Picture Oscar contender, but this could be the first Oscar contender of the year from a sound design standpoint. That being said, it'll lose to a stupid war movie later, just like Baby Driver lost, which Baby Driver is a movie entirely designed around sound, and it lost to Dunkirk. So they're not going to give it to it, but it should be nominated and should be a frontrunner in that particular category. The Dolby Cinema really, really elevates that, and if you can see it in the Dolby Cinema, see it that way. I don't know how long it's going to last in that particular theater. Rampage is coming out, which is like, man, who cares? Rampage is dumb, but that's probably going to take up some of the show times. So if you have the opportunity to go check it out this weekend, do that and go see it in the AMC Dolby Cinema with the big fancy sound. Also, people should learn to be like fucking on time for movies. On time. I don't know how hard that is. 3 people walked in 20 minutes in, sat down for like 45 seconds, and then left. Like, do you not own a clock or a phone? How hard? It started at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's not hard. That's not hard at all. Granted, this is coming from a person who wakes up at 6:30 every single morning, even on weekends. But 11 o'clock is not a hard time to hit. Also, if you're that late to a movie that is about silence, don't come trudging in. You idiots. I think this movie has an absolutely perfect runtime. It's about an hour and 30 minutes or so. It tells a very, very tight story. It gives you enough information to where I felt satisfied when I left the movie. I mean, I had questions about it, but like, that's not really the point of the movie. The point is just to follow these characters through from the starting point of the movie to the end point of the movie. And it worked really, really well. Again, like, as a guy who doesn't like horror movies, I can't recommend this enough. Like, this movie is absolutely fantastic. Those are my thoughts on A Quiet Place. We'll talk about that again when it comes out on Blu-ray. The other movie this week is the hard R comedy Blockers, and I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's good, like solid all the way through from start to finish. I think it has some problems, but it is enjoyable enough. And like John Cena is like a genuinely good comedic actor, which is like the weirdest thing I've said this year, maybe this decade, maybe this century, millennium. I don't know. It's just a weird sentence. I mean, he's in Sisters, which is the Tina Fey and Amy Poehler comedy, and he's good in that. But I didn't expect him to be at this level. Like, he definitely stuck out and worked well in this particular movie. I actually think all three of the lead adult actors are really good, and they get most of the screen time, which is where one of my gripes kind of comes in. I would have liked to have seen more of the kids. I understand that this is a movie about blockers, about parents trying to stop their kids from doing stuff, whatever. Like, I get that. But I would have liked to have known a little bit more about the kids and like why they're making the decisions they're making. But as it stands, this is still, just a fun, funny R-rated comedy, like very hard R. And I appreciate how far they went with a lot of this, because it feels like a lot of other movies would have probably pulled back a little bit, but this movie just went for it. And that's kind of the type of comedy I like, is a little bit, I guess, harsher or more, I don't know what the word is, but like brash? Maybe I shouldn't just throw out words. It was road rash? I don't know. The movie does struggle with some tonal inconsistencies, which, like, it takes weird detours into kind of the backstories of some of the adult characters that don't really pay off in any meaningful way. So it's like, I was thinking about it, and it was like somebody looked at like an audience reaction sheet and someone wrote down like, we didn't laugh for 3 minutes, and they're like, we have to fix that. Like, it doesn't trust its audience to give a crap about like an emotional moment that is shared between two characters, because everything that's brought up that's darker than comedy, even though it's like kind of a dark comedy, like if anything that's brought up that's serious is immediately thrown away or is like the punchline of a joke. It's kind of weird to explain. And I don't know how many people are really going to care about that, because like it does just kind of keep moving. But it was something I noticed because they did it several different times where they have like this, one of the adult characters like talks about like something like really serious, and it just gets thrown away. And it's like, why are you even bringing that information up if you're not going to pay it off in any meaningful way? And I think if they had the information pay off more significantly, this movie actually would have elevated to, instead of just like consistently good, it could have been great or even like amazing, because they were committed to really, really pushing in all boundaries. But as it stands, it's a great comedy. I think a lot of the bits and gags are still really funny, even if they've been in the trailers like a bunch of different times. It still worked in the context of the movie. I had a really good time with this. I'm looking forward to it coming out on Blu-ray. I'm curious to see what was cut. I'm sure there's an unrated version that's heading our way here in about, 4 months or whatever. See how long it lasts in theaters. But this will definitely be one I pick up on and talk about a little bit more when it hits on Blu-ray. This does in some ways feel like kind of a difficult movie to review, because like is kind of like just a comedy, and I feel like that's throwing it a little bit under the bus and maybe not giving it some of the praise that it deserves. I laughed at it, and I had a good time watching it, which is, really all you can ask for from a comedy. It's not anything that I'm going to think terribly much about after I leave the theater, but, like, I'm looking forward to watching it again when it comes out on Blu-ray, so I mean, at least it has that sort of thing. I'm not one and done with it, like something I saw a couple weeks ago. I can't remember what it was. That's not a good sign. It was Pacific Rim, but, it's something that I'm like, I'll watch that again. Like, I'll pick it up on Blu-ray and I'll check it out. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the extended cut, because I'm sure there is one, what the extended cut brings us. Switching over to the game side, we're going to talk about Batman, Telltale Batman, The Enemy Within. I keep goofing it up, because they always put a Telltale series after their stuff. So now it's stuck in my head. It's a whole mess. I can't figure it out. The season 2 finale of Batman, the Telltale series, The Enemy Within. I'm not going to talk too much in spoiler territory with this. It is very new. I think it came out last week. I was going to talk about it. Was too busy. Whatever. You heard it in last week's episode. Don't need to repeat it. What I will talk about are a few different points that I liked about this particular game. I think this is a great finale for the series. I'm excited to see what's next. Alfred has a really, really great conversation with Bruce about Batman and his need to be Batman, Bruce's need to be Batman, that I think is just, it's super interesting. Like, it really questions a lot about it, because it talks about, and this is something they talked about in the comics, and I've seen kind of online as well. It talks about this theory of, like, Batman is the reason everything's crazy, and they hone in on this thing of, like, every time, like, you're Batman, like, people you love and care about, they get hurt, and, like, it's just this really nice moment between those two, because, like, Alfred's really great, and, you know, they have a close relationship, him and Bruce, and it's a quieter moment, but it really stood out to me, and that's something that I've noticed in the Telltale games. For me personally, a lot of the quieter moments stick out. Specifically, something in, like, episode 5 of the first season of The Walking Dead. There's a scene where it's just a conversation between two characters, and it's my favorite part of the entire series. The Walking Dead's a really great series. Season 1 is best. Michonne, Season 2, and then Season 3. Looking forward to Season 4, the final season. But that's a whole other topic. We'll talk about those later, maybe. I completely and totally love this Joker. I think the Joker is one of the more overused and over-talked about villains in the DC universe. He's really, really great, but in this particular series, he is just fascinating to me. And I think it's because you see him in Season 1, and to me, he always felt like a guy who was trying to hold it together, but he knew there was, like, a darker part of him somewhere deep inside that he was just almost, like, trying to suppress and just keep it under wraps. And how do I want to explain this? When he lashed out, it seemed like he genuinely, like, felt bad, but also, like, understood that he kind of enjoyed it too. And it's this weird struggle watching him try to figure out kind of what he is, and just watching that evolve throughout the 2 seasons has been absolutely fantastic. There is a death from episode 1, and I won't say who it is, though I am a little bit bummed they got rid of this character so soon. They could have done more with this particular character, again, trying to avoid spoilers, and it's unfortunate that it's unfortunate that they bit the dust so early in this particular season. One of the other things that I had noticed about this, and I think I'm probably, like, totally interrupted my own thought process. So hang on, let me see if I can go back here for a second. Oh, one of the death from the first episode comes back up in a very surprising way, in a way that I did not anticipate, and I like the decision that it gives you after that. Now, going back to what I was saying, which I forget. The marketing for this game gave way too much away. Like, it gave way too much of this story away. I actually was mostly correct in where I thought the end of the last episode was going. I like the ending of this particular episode. I like that it's kind of it goes in 2 different ways. It feels like it's going to converge in one particular spot. Anyway, that seems to be maybe not completely accurate. They said that Telltale came out and said that this particular episode has 3.5 hours of total content. Usually they're closer to 2, so it does seem like there is a considerable split. The only time I can think they ever did a considerable split like that was the finale of season 2 of The Walking Dead, but that's a whole other story. Unfortunately, the marketing kind of ruined this sort of thing, and I'm glad that I was right in the way that I thought the last episode would end. I really should have played this all at once and not when they were released, because a lot of the plot points are totally lost on me. There were a couple of times that somebody brought up stuff and I went, okay, I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't really know how I would answer if I feel like I had more information. And this game also does something weird. Usually at the beginning of the Telltale games, they recap the previous episode. This one just jumps right in, which is great if you're playing consecutively or over a weekend. But when you haven't touched this game in 2 months, and I don't really want to go back and replay episodes, so I guess that's maybe on me a little bit. But when you go back and if you don't want to do that, you're kind of just thrown into the deep end. Now, I get that this particular thing is a Telltale issue and an episodic game issue. I managed to not play all of Before the Storm before the final episode came out. Couldn't have waited on this one. Probably could have waited on this one. As for the overall season, I think it was really good. I actually think season 1 is better. I think season 1's a little bit more compact, a little tighter. This one gets a little bit too in the weeds, specifically in the middle of the season, if I remember correctly. I think it's episode 3, where there's just too much going on. There's a bunch of different villains who show up, which is always, which is nice, and it sets up future stuff that I'm excited to see. But I don't need all of that right now. It's unfortunate that they kind of rushed the Joker story at this point, because I was hoping that would play out over a longer period of time. But I bet their hands were kind of tied. I mean, everybody knew where it was going, but I liked that. I liked that obviously John Doe is the Joker, and I like that the unease of how do I respond to this, because I think I know where this is going, but it's still fun to have that interaction as Bruce with John Doe before that final decision is made and he goes whichever path he goes. So I would recommend playing this game. I'd recommend playing it over a weekend so that you don't sit there for a month and a half and then just forget everything. So go check out Batman. It's on Xbox One. It's on PlayStation 4. I don't know if it's on PC, but maybe if it goes on PC, I'll replay it and we'll come back to this because I like Gamerscore a lot. Speaking of Gamerscore, I picked up all 6 achievements, just like any other Telltale game, for 200 Gamerscore. Our other game this week is Far Cry 5. I briefly talked about it last week, and I put more time into it, and I do not like this game very much. It might be, and I think it pretty definitively is, it's the biggest disappointment of the year so far. It's pretty easy. Boy, this game's just not good. The story isn't interesting, the characters suck, I don't give a shit, and if I don't care, I'm just running around blowing stuff up, but it's not fun. The gameplay's fine. It's Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4. I didn't play Primal, so I don't know how it compares that way. Some of the gameplay elements are still fun. It doesn't seem like the hunting is really a point anymore, so you kind of just get attacked by cougars and get startled, and that's a good time. And liberating outposts is still a fun kind of puzzle challenge. Mark everybody, try and take out the alarms so they can't call in any reinforcement, try and do it stealthy, but when it inevitably goes wrong, just wipe everybody out with your silenced big giant cool gun. I don't know, whatever. The guns are super weak, and this game really could use a hit marker, because man, it just seems like it's so hard to tell if you're getting the shot, especially when you're far away. Anyway, these are kind of mild complaints. Is a game I spent a bunch of time with, but when I was done spending time with it, I thought I really should have used my time better with this. I should have played something else. I should have played MLB or Ni no Kuni or just any other game. But there is a certain appeal to playing a game that you just don't care about the story. You just run around, you liberate stuff, you clear out the map, and there's something nice about you just turn your brain off, and this is a very video game, which is nice. And I think that's kind of why I was playing it, because when you go see A Quiet Place and it's something it requires a lot of focus and attention, it's super nice to just turn your brain off and be point gun, pow pow. Unfortunately, the characters in the story just don't do anything. I've been in Faith's region for most of this particular game, and man, I just want to get it done, and that's not good. I don't know, it's just, they keep talking about the same thing, oh, you're here, and you don't understand, and blah, 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 blah. And they just keep repeating that, and I was yeah, I get it. I don't care. I'm here because you guys are doing terrible, terrible things. Not because I don't believe what you believe. I don't know. It's a whole mess. The story is there, but it's not there. I don't know. I just don't care. And I just don't really think this game is all that great, which super sucks. Arcade mode is a terrible mess of bad maps, laggy gameplay, and just genuine badness. I appreciate that people are willing to go out and create stuff and use the tools given to them to try and create multiplayer maps and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, they're all really bad. It feels like it's made by a bunch of people who really like other games like Call of Duty or Battlefield or Gears of War or Halo or any number of games, but they don't understand why they work. So they'll give you like, oh, here's this cool, like, here's this stupid sniper canyon. And it's like, those are boring. Those are boring as hell. Why are you making so many of these? Like, oh, you only use snipers and rockets. Like, they suck. It's not fun. It's, thank goodness you've only made it to like 20 kills. But Lord, it's bad. Stop putting so many of those in there. Now, granted, I'm not making any maps for this. So take that for what you will. I'm just some guy on the internet complaining about other people on the internet. The other bigger problem with this particular game is, with the particular arcade mode, I should say, it is impossible. And I'm not exaggerating. It is impossible to tell who is on your team and who is not on your team in Far Cry Arcade. Because you use your same in-game character in the arcade mode, in the multiplayer mode, everyone looks the same. And like, I spend a lot of time in the multiplayer maps, because most of them aren't well designed, shooting at my own teammates because I have no idea what in the world's going on. They need to give you an option to put one team with like a color coding and another team with a different color coding so that I know what in the hell I'm looking at. Because the number of times like you get shot in the back while you're trying to kill your teammate is way too many, and it's a problem. Unfortunately, this game is a tremendous disappointment for the year. I probably will play more, but I really shouldn't. I should just leave it where it is. On the bright side, I got 15 achievements for 260 gamer scores, so that's always good, but unfortunately, this game is just not working for me. The Donkey Kong mug is back, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what that means. It's time to try a new cereal. Now, I made some improvements from last time. I only bought one box, so that's all well and good. Today's limited edition item, Peach Cheerios. Look at how good that looks. Peachy. Peachy good. That's not what people say. The people say, like, peachy keen? I don't know. Maybe old people. Not me. So let's give this a test. Look at that audio. It's looking real bad. What the hell? Oh, it got glued. Weird. Alright. Cool. That audio is so bad. I keep saying that. I keep saying, like, oh, look, the audio is so bad. It's so bad. I haven't done anything to fix it. I'm just complaining to myself, essentially, and then just not doing anything about it. These don't smell good. They smell okay. Actually, I really like peaches, and I genuinely do enjoy Cheerios, specifically Honey Nut and Apple Cinnamon. No matter how much the Apple Cinnamon hurts my tummy, my little tum-tum. So that's a weird sentence for me to say, just to, broadcast to the world. It hurts my tum-tum. What the hell am I talking about? Anyway, these don't smell great, but I do like peaches. I do like Cheerios. That's what's important. We have the DK mug. We have the milk. It's over here off camera. We'll try it out. I realize also, I film myself eating a lot for this show, and the budget, I guess, for this show is just whatever. I mean, to be fair, I'm just buying shit I'd normally buy and just throwing it on the show, so, I mean, I would have bought this anyway. That's what I'm trying to say. And now I'm going to complain about the audio some more while I dump this in and talk over it. I dropped one already. Damn it. I'll pick it up later. These really don't smell good, and that sucks. Peach is good. What? Ugh. What else is in the Teaches of Peaches? Aw, yeah. I won't sing the rest of that song because it's not appropriate. But if you want to learn more about it, just watch Jackass number 2. Have a little milk here, obviously, so it goes off camera. I won't pour too much in. I love milk so much. I won't pour too much in. It's so good though. I love milk. This is going to be like peachy milk too. So like, you know how people like go out and like willingly buy strawberry milk or banana milk? That's a real thing. Banana milk, I think, is a real thing. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was in a dream I had. I dreamt about double-decker buses last night. Again, another weird thing to broadcast on the internet. But I thought it was fun and whimsical. I'm going to eat this now so that something else is in my mouth, so I'll stop saying stupid things. These are okay. There's not much of a peach flavor, which is unfortunate. I keep smelling it, hoping that it'll smell better, but it doesn't. There's a hint, but it's not much. Speaking of limited edition items, I should have mentioned last week in the quarter in review. I should have mentioned that the best limited edition item so far this year would be that Sea of Thieves controller that's in the back. But as like in the food category, it would be the strawberry donuts, the strawberry chocolate donuts. Those are the best like food category. That's like general use item. I don't know why I keep having to categorize everything. I just wanted to give them both a shout out because I love them so much. Thank God I only bought one box of these. I haven't even finished the Super Mario cereal. I ate like 3/4 of one of the boxes, and there's another full one sitting downstairs. So that's always good. It's really too bad that these don't have more of a peach taste, because these could have been really, really great. But unfortunately, they aren't, and they're just okay. Boy, the limited edition cereal items have been both not great. Maybe I should stop buying cereal. I'm never gonna stop doing that. That's absurd. I will buy all the cereal. As always, here on the Weekend Review, we end by looking forward to this next week and the new releases. In theaters this week is just one movie. It's Borg versus McEnroe, which is a tennis movie. Has Shia LaBeouf in it. I mentioned it last week in the What's Next section of the Quarter in Review film side of things. As far as what's on Blu-ray, there are 3 titles this week that are kind of interest. We have The Greatest Showman, which was a very genuinely surprising movie. How much I liked it, I guess. That's a weird way of saying it, and that sentence did not come out clean, but The Greatest Showman's out on Blu-ray this week, as is Proud Mary, which is one of the first movies I talked about on this particular show, and Phantom Thread, Best Picture nominee, that I don't really know if I want to watch, but I like Paul Thomas Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis. Maybe we'll give it a shot in the future, but I'm not going to rush out and buy it. As for the games, there are 2 games this week. Hellblade hits Xbox One this week. I'm definitely going to play that. It's downloading on my Xbox One now. And Owlboy is out for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. I may have mentioned Owlboy earlier this year, around the middle of February. Turns out that was just the Switch release date and not the PS4 Xbox One release date. And since I'm going to play it on the Xbox One, I'm going to bring it up again. So, it's been on Switch for a while, but now it hits the other 2 consoles. That is this week's show, the Weekend Review. Episode number 12 is in the books. We're all done. If you like the content, subscribe. It's below me. I know that now. I can't remember which side it's on. So just like take the little mouse wheel and just scroll it down, or click and pull on the side tab thing. I don't know. Anyway, like the content, like the videos, subscribe, share it, do all that good stuff. Thank you so much for all your support, all the subscribers, all the views. It's all really, really great, and I really, really appreciate it. If I'm missing anything, or if there's something you're super hyped for, let me know in the comments below, and be sure to check back every Tuesday for more games and movie content and questionable purchases, because there are going to be loads of them. I buy so much cereal.